All eyes on Tuscaloosa as President Trump made his historic commencement speech on the capstone. Hundreds of people gathered inside Coleman Coliseum to see the commander-in-chief firsthand. That includes WVTM 13's Sherry Falk and Lisa Crane, live and local tonight after Mr. Trump's speech. What was his message tonight?
Well, Guy, basically the president's message was about his recipe for success. He listed multiple ways that these graduates can become successful in this next chapter of their lives.
Yeah, he talked about basically his recipe had about 10 different pieces. For example, he said you got to work hard, you got to think big, you don't lose your momentum, you want to be original and never give up. And this was ways to be successful, not just in your career, but also in life as a person as well. And then he also spent a lot of time touting his success in his first 100 days in office.
Yeah, and he kept reiterating what a wonderful state that Alabama is and how many smart and successful people have called this place home.
Now, before he took the stage, though, we got to hear from the GOAT himself. We are talking about the former football coach and legend Nick Saban made an appearance, had the honor of introducing the president, but he took a few minutes to give the graduates a little life advice. He gave them 3 things to remember as they embark on this journey.
First of all, have compassion for other people. The second thing is be responsible for your own self-determination. And the last thing is it's not about beating the other guy. It's not about being better than somebody else. It's about you being the best that you can be.
Well, the president took the stage to roaring applause. He was definitely with his supporters tonight. He was on stage for about an hour and a half, and he spent some of that time, as we mentioned, touting the work that he's done in his first 100 days, but also gave advice and had a lot of nice things to say, as I mentioned to you before, about the state of Alabama, the university, and the class of 2025.
The class of 2025 was the first to enter the halls of this university in the aftermath of COVID-19. Following a difficult senior year of high school, many of you came here to Tuscaloosa from around the country, and for the very first time, you experienced something called freedom. You had freedom. So let's give a big round of applause to the leaders of this state who chose liberty over lockdowns. They did. They did a good job.
It was a night of standing ovations, roaring applause, as you heard there. And within the first minute of his speech, we heard the leader of the free world say the most important 2 words on this campus: roll tide. Of course, we've been hearing from some of the students and other guests that were in attendance for this historic night. WVTM 13's Jarvis Robertson caught up with some of those attendees outside of Coleman Coliseum as the event was wrapping up. Jarvis, what did they have to say about being here tonight?
Well, Sherry, I'm across the street from Coleman Coliseum, and right now you would not think that a sitting president was here on the campus of the University of Alabama. All quiet right now, but the people that were leaving out of the Coliseum, there was a lot of life, a lot of energy, a lot of smiling faces, and I talked to quite a few of them. Overall, they had positive things to say about hearing President Donald Trump speak. Take a listen. And why did you want to come here today?
I was going to try to meet him, but it just didn't turn out like I thought it was. But
what was your favorite part about it?
My favorite part, I think Donald Trump does a good job of understanding what working American is like, and he did a good job of listing some of the important qualities that a good American worker has.
I love it. Did you enjoy the speech?
I did. I thought that there were moments that were a bit erratic, but I think that's just Trump's personality. I've come to grow accustomed to it, but I kind of wish he would have focused a little more on the graduates.
How did you enjoy the speech?
I loved it. Donald J. Trump electrified everybody out there today. Great energy. Great day to be a Bama student. Roll Tide.
What was your favorite part about the speech?
My favorite part of the speech was probably his comedic, charisma. I think he had all the people laughing in there, and I like that out of a president, you know what I mean?
I love it. Now, the vibe over here across the street from Coleman Coliseum, completely different from what I saw earlier today when I was at Snow Hidden Park, which is not far from the campus. But again, those people I spoke to showed up. They enjoyed what they had to hear. We are live on the campus of the University of Alabama tonight in Tuscaloosa. I'm Jarvis Robertson, WVTM 13.
All right, Jarvis, thank you so much. As he mentioned, the anticipation of the president's speech and visit to the campus created some controversy throughout the week. WVTM 13's Zoe Blair spoke with students and residents all through the area today about what this visit means to them.
Graduation week, it's always a busy time here at the University of Alabama. You've got finals going on, you've got family coming into town, you've got people getting ready to graduate, and this week was made a little bit more hectic by that visit from President Donald Trump. As students were filing into the Coliseum today, I was able to speak with them and just kind of ask them if they thought it was worth it.
I mean, to have the sitting president of the United States come speak to your commencement ceremony is something only very few graduates can say, so it's a very exciting opportunity for this campus and this university.
Emma Broadfoot will turn her tassel and receive a degree in education this weekend. She says one of the most hectic parts of the day is also one of the most warranted. She's talking about security.
I mean, you kind of expect that, especially with what President Trump himself has been through, you know, 2 assassination attempts, got to be careful. But, he came here in the fall for football games, so we're kind of used to this kind of hectic environment with security and all that measures. So, you just kind of expect it.
That security is making this graduation weekend a little different for graduates. Graham Jones will walk across the stage to accept his master's in population health, his second degree from UA. He says this year commencement is a little chaotic, but he's cool with the chaos if it means hearing from the commander-in-chief.
Well, the security is definitely new. Last time it was just kind of show up, and all the kind of last minute adjustments as everything has been tough to kind of figure out where to go, timing of everything, but we're ready to roll.
Certainly a historic night here at the capstone, one that these graduates won't soon forget. In Tuscaloosa, Zoe Blair, WVTM 13.
And while many saw the president's visit as a positive move, of course, others did not. Dozens of people marched in protest of the speech, part of 2 different movements against the visit. The largest of the 2 took place at Snow Hinton Park, where many people were joined by former Senator Doug Jones and former presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke. Many of them spoke against the speech because of the ongoing detainment of a UA doctorate student, Ali Reza Daruti, and funding cuts recently made to higher education. Now, aside from the president's visit, this weekend is truly all about the students that are getting ready to take on this next chapter in their lives, many of which will now be preparing for their graduation ceremonies over the next few days. Graduation ceremonies do begin tomorrow afternoon for the College of Arts and Sciences, the College of Engineering, and the School of Social Work. Saturday, we'll see graduates from nursing, communications, education, and business turn their tassels. The last ceremony will be on Sunday when students from the School of Law walk across the stage. As for what's next for President Trump, he will speak to graduates at West Point Academy in New York during their commencement, which will take place on May 24th. This will be the second time that he speaks to the Academy graduates, and it'll be very different from the first time. The first address that he gave was back in 2020 during the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. But this weekend, President Trump is sitting down in an exclusive one-on-one interview with Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker. That interview will air on Sunday after our morning newscasts. And if you would like to hear President Trump's remarks from this evening, you can head right now to our website or to the free WVTM 13 app. You'll also be able to hear Nick Saban's full speech tonight through our live update article that we have on all of our platforms right now. And we'll continue to follow any developments of President Trump's visit to the state. We'll bring you what we learn in the overnight hours, starting in our morning newscasts. Live in Tuscaloosa for Lisa Crane and myself, Sherry Falk, WVTM 13.